Hey y'all, check this out. Next up, what we got in the shop here, we got a Ventrac all-wheel drive articulating tractor. They become pretty well known for a tractor that you almost can't flip over. And there are some that actually have dual wheels front and rear, and those would be like really tough to flip over. They mow banks and do stuff with this. But what it's here for, what we're doing with it, this tractor belongs to a local electrical contractor that does a lot of generator installations. And what he needs is a way to carry these generators up through somebody's yard and beside their house without tearing up the yard. He's got a skid steer and things like that are bigger machines, but this Ventrac would drive up through people's yards no problem. And if we could carry the generator on the Ventrac tractor, he could take those generators up into people's yards and do the installs without doing any damage to their lawn. And what we're looking at doing is putting a set of forks on the front of this machine. There is a mass-produced product that's different kind of lift loaders or whatever for the front of a Ventrac that you can buy. I think they're about $2,500. But all he needs is just a set of forks sticking off the front that lift up and down in the same manner that this snowplow does. So that's what we're in for, and we're going to figure out how this thing connects to the tractor and fabricate an assembly that'll connect to the tractor in the same way and put a set of forks on it. So this should be cool. I love this kind of stuff, and we'll get into it and see what we can do. Nice having this snowplow here because this is where we got to start. Plates like that right there with that pin, that's what we're going to have to fabricate to connect the forks to hook them forks up to this machine. When you look at how these bars that come out, those bars go up and down, and the top of that bar right there makes contact pressing against this flat spot right here, and that's what lifts that up. The weight of whatever you're lifting is being lifted up by that right there. So we can see that we need that flat spot to lift by. We need this plate coming beside it with this shape. This right here is going to go into a pin over there. And then this pin right here gets locked down by that lever and slot. Let me see if I can reach around and hit that. Okay, so when that lever and slot come down, they're coming down on that pin, and then you're locked in place. Got me a piece of crusty plate here that I marked around the pattern that I made, and I'm wanting to drill a hole for this part to make the shape better for my pattern. And I measured over here on the actual device, and that shape right there, it's about 13/16 of an inch. Maybe 3/4. I think it was actually closer to 3/4. And I'm remembering that when I burn out on my pattern torch and we're talking about an inside, I end up getting something that's cut about 5/16 of an inch less than the inside diameter of the pattern. So what I'm wanting to have right here is a 1 1/16 inch hole, and I want to mag drill that, but I don't want to mag drill that until I've cut this out, because I'm going to mess up the marks on here if I mag drill it first. I'm hoping there's enough metal here to mag drill that after it's cut out. I'm going to go ahead and burn it out with a plasma, far as the OD or the basic shape, and then see if I can drill it. And we'll get us a pattern made for the pattern torch and see how it turns out. We'll do a test cut. Got this pattern up in the pattern torch. Let's give it a shot and see what it does. So I'm holding this test plate up there against the plate that I'm trying to burn, and it looks really good. I really like it. This is going to work. So let's look at here's the problem. Here's the problem with trying to use something that pivots and making it lift. A forklift has a mast that goes straight up and down for the reason of lifting something at multiple heights. having an action clear back here that only pivots. See, that's creating a problem where we need a fork that is level enough to enter a pallet. But when we enter a pallet, we need to have 30 inches of height right here, 90 degrees from that fork, that can tilt back without bashing into that machine at a high enough height that we've lifted the generator off the ground. So how do we go about doing this? Well, the idea that comes to mind for me right now is, if we focus on what we need, I realize that the lift is all we need. And how did we get lift when this machine lifted this plow? See, when we lift this plow, that bar that pivots pushes right here and it lifts up. That's what lifts the plow. Now, if you push the lever and push this plow all the way down to the point that that plow hits the ground, then that bar hits this tab right here, and it will literally lift the front tires of that machine off the ground. You might need that with certain implements. You might want that with a snow plow. You might want it to do that. We don't want it to do that. All we want to do is lift. We don't want to press down. We have no reason to press down. In order to carry a generator, lift up a skid and carry a generator on a pallet, we do not need to press down. So the idea that I have is, I've got those bars sticking out level, and that's about the center of the movement that they can make. I want the bottom of that tube at the back right there at 5 inches. 5 inches below the top of that bar. And I'll put a piece of steel across the top so that when that lifts up, it lifts. But I will not put a piece of steel across the bottom. And if I don't, then when you push down, this will float. I'm going to get my 5 inches with this 5x3 by 3/8 angle iron. I'm going to notch 2 inches out of that. My tubing can come in and be welded to that, and this lower leg of the angle will supply a gusset. So with that part of it, pretty much as far as we're going to go with that for now, the next thing we need to do is deal with those plates so we can get this mated up on there. So I took these out of the cement mixer full of nails, and they're cleaned up real nice. We got some real nice burnouts here. Got 2 more than we need. And the next thing on this is going to be marking those holes and drilling them. That way we can put the 1/2 inch rods in for that pin. Remember the pin that locks it in there. So that's coming up. And this one is just great. This is perfect. When we have our alignment, our pin lined up there, the back side, the critical part of this hole, back there in the back in the crock, is perfectly flush. So this will be the one I use to drill the other ones. I'll put it right on top of them. I'll put this right on top of the other plates and clamp it and run that bit right down through there, and I think we'll be in good shape. So I got a couple pins. I've cut these pins about 1 1/8 inches long, and I want them in there where when I plug weld the other side, I've got about 1/8 of an inch or so that I can plug weld to get some strength out of it. I wouldn't want it just flush. If it was just flush and you grounded it off, you wouldn't have much left holding there. But this pin is short enough, you could get it crooked if you weren't paying attention to how you welded it in there. And the way I'm going to go about doing this, you remember this pattern, this was the first test piece that I cut, and everything worked except for where I drilled that hole. But we can use this for space, because if I put that and another plate and another plate and then the plate I want to weld the pin to, if I put those together like that and I push that pin where that pin is all the way touching the table right there, what all these plates are going to do, since these plates are all identical, when I line these up, if I line these plates up perfectly and plug weld that pin, it's going to be straight. The holes in the other plates prevent it from being too far off. So that's the method I'm going to use to put these pins in here, and we'll go ahead and do that. So I got that one plug welded. Another thing you want to keep in mind with parts like this is that these have a left hand and a right hand. If you were to put this on one side and try to flip it over and put it on the other side, that won't work. This has a top and a bottom, and you're going to have a left and a right side. So, the one that goes on the opposite side of that one has to have the pin sticking out of the other side. If you were building something on a drawing and there was something like this, a lot of times they would write it up as shown, and the other would be opposite hand. Another way to think of it is they're mirror images of one another. They are identical, but they are a mirror image, a left and a right. So we're going to make sure the pin is sticking out of the other side of the other one. So the plates went on there really well, and the latch bar latched down on the pin. That looks all right. We're going to need a plate right here, and that can be kind of dual purpose, because it'll serve as a gusset where this connects to the angle iron, but also when part of this sets over on top of that bar that pivots, that'll give us our lift. So let's burn out a couple of those. We got those cut and put them on there, and I tried it once and I ended up cutting a little notch out, and what that does is it clears this upper part. Will come down and it hit right there. See where that paint is chipped? It hit right there, and I needed to make some more room for that when this thing came down. And then the gussets are good, and I went ahead and cut the other tubes for this upright, and that's just going to keep the generator from sliding back into the machine. And I'm going to put it on there and try it now.